Hey, it's Amy Brown from The Bobby Bones Show. Join me in supporting St. Jude Children's Research Hospital for a chance to win a trip to meet Megan Maroney at the 2025 iHeart Country Festival in Austin, Texas on May 3rd, hosted by Bobby Bones. We're going to hook you up with tickets, flights, hotel, food credits, and a meet and greet with Megan Maroney. Take action now to support St. Jude and help cure childhood cancer, and you're going to be entered for a chance to win. Visit iHeartCountryTrip.com to learn more.
If your job at a healthcare facility includes disinfecting against viruses, you know prevention is the best medicine. And maintaining healthy spaces starts with a healthy cleaning routine. Grainger's world-class supply chain helps ensure you have the quality products you need when you need them. From disinfectants and cleaning supplies to personal protective equipment, so you can help deliver a clean bill of health. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather, now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Pocket Party.
And we're back. Hey, everybody. It's your host, Darren Carter, the party starter, and we are doing a special episode of the Pocket Party podcast. We're in a Jeep behind the Laugh Factory. By the way, if you love the show, or even if you just tolerate it, go to Buy Me a Coffee and buy me a coffee. You could show your support. I got the link in the description. It's called buymeacoffee.com/Darren Carter. Who am I in the Jeep with? Mr. Daniel Lobell.
Actually in the Jeep with Jackie Mason. And I got news for you. The fact that a guy like you, who's a party starter and an international sensation, who's got millions of fans, is trying to get people to buy you coffees is absolutely nauseating. And I'll tell you something. If a guy like you can't buy your own coffee, we're all doomed. And if anybody out there buys this man a coffee, you ought to get knocked in the face. And if you see me on the street, you better get across the street to the other way, and you don't come near me. Because I'll tell you something. I'll knock you right out. Okay.
Wow, Jackie, you're very violent. All they're trying to do is they're just trying to support the podcast, my friend. They're trying to...
I got no problem with it. You ever seen these ventriloquists? Like,
yeah. What do they do?
They go like, "Oh no, I think you're very nice," and then like the dummy, you're a whore, you know.
I would totally buy you a coffee, but Jackie, wait. So Danny, would you buy me on the Buy Me a Coffee? You yourself would support the Pocket Party podcast, and
oh yeah, 100%, I would do it. But Jackie Mason, he would, if he was around, he would have knocked anyone in the face who does that.
Wait, there he is, right there, Jackie. What do you think of supporting people's podcasts
I'll tell you something that's absolutely disgusting to me. That a person who tries to make a living by making people laugh should try and get a guy like you, who's an innocent person who barely makes any money to begin with, and you got to live in your parents' basement, and who knows what you got to do just to scrape together $20 just to get through the month. And this guy who's a Hollywood star is trying to get your coffee money. But I think it's great, Darren. Personally,
yeah. You yourself. Yeah. No, but I also, and I tell the people, I go, listen, if you don't want to go to, click the link and throw us a couple, you know what I mean?
Don't be self-conscious about it. You should be allowed to ask for coffee. Why would you feel
But I also tell them, you know what, another way is to do it is tell a couple of people about the podcast or leave comments, because it helps the algorithm, like especially if they go to YouTube. Now, you yourself, you like that people would leave a comment, right?
Me? Yeah. I love it.
What would Jackie think of me telling the audience, please go to YouTube and leave me comments?
What do you think, these people got nothing better to do? You think they're just sitting around waiting to write comments for you? If they got something to say, you don't think they would say it? If you think that they're holding back all these comments from you?
No, Jackie, I'm not saying but you're right. I am begging for comments to this algorithm. I'm beholden to the algorithm.
Now you got to force people who aren't writers to begin with to start coming up with things that they never wanted to say because they feel that this guy who's got nothing going on, apparently, to try and force people to take their time away from their family. The kids are screaming and the mother can't do anything. The father's sitting there. I got to come up with another comment for Darren Carter because he needs to start another party. And
Oh, and also, you're going to hate this one, Jackie. Can you turn the light on real quick? Because I don't have my reading glasses on, and I want to see if this thing is recording. This is gold. Are we recording? Of course it's. Do you see the numbers moving and whatnot?
Yeah, they look like they're moving.
I can't see nothing, man. I should have brought my glasses, but...
I'm like a ventriloquist with no puppet.
I know. I also have a great... I'm very grateful for, you know how you have different like listeners and fans, and there's one that goes beyond a special. Her name is Galaxy Goddess, aka Casey. She also, now would you like this, Danny? Listens to the podcast, but will go on YouTube and make timestamps for different topics that are happening, and it's great, right?
Yeah, that's
and I tell her, I said, don't feel. You know, I don't want you to be stressed out over it. If you just want to, if you don't want to do it, that's cool. If you just want to like do one timestamp, 2, 4, whatever, but she'll go through and find different things. She actually enjoys it. Now, what would Jackie Mason think of that?
It's nice that you got a yenta out there who's got nothing better to do than to leave timestamps. You know,
she's in Beaumont, Texas.
It's unfortunate. You know, when I was alive, I'd had women do a lot better things than that. But if that's what you want to have these broads do, then God bless them.
Comics today, we you know, it's a totally different time, Jackie.
When I was going around, we had ideas of what we wanted our fans who were broads that they would do. It happened to be a little different than what you're doing, but sure, if that's what floats your boat, to get comments and timestamps, I liked other things.
Dude, oh my gosh.
He's so much funnier than me.
I'm even sweating right now.
It's not even him.
This is hilarious, dude. You should be reincarnated. Just do it. Just do it.
I'll tell you the truth. If I had a broad and she was willing to do something for me, timestamps would be the last thing on my mind. And she's a Galaxy Goddess, but
that's hilarious. Yeah. Well, okay, here's what I want to know.
She's absolutely stunning. She's beautiful. You know what I got her doing? Going on the internet and timestamping.
You're the best, man. I got a question, Danny. So listen, you're from New York City. There's 5 boroughs. I'm from the West Coast, so I'm learning. There's 5 boroughs. Yeah. Tell the audience the 5 boroughs. Can I try it, or you just want to tell them? You know, like the back of your hand. I'm going to guess. I'm probably going to be wrong, but I'm going to say
Abe Burrows.
There's 8 boroughs. No, I think there's
Abe.
Oh, Abe.
You know the playwright.
Oh yeah, Abe Burrows. There's John Burrows.
That's
there's
a stupid reference. Nobody knows Abe Burrows.
I knew John Burrows because I went to John Burrows school. But okay, let me think. There's Manhattan, Queens, Long Island.
Nope.
Brooklyn.
Long Island's not one of them.
And Staten Island.
Okay, you got Manhattan, you got Queens.
Yonkers. No, the Bronx.
The Bronx.
I'm sorry.
There you go.
Okay, so it's
Long Island's not one of them, but you got all 5. Now.
Okay. Oh, I did.
Manhattan, and I was originally from Queens, so I lived in Queens. And then we moved to Long Island, not a borough, but I did live there. Then when I went to college, I moved to Manhattan. Then when I graduated college, I moved to Brooklyn. So I never lived in Staten Island or the Bronx, but I've covered a lot of them, you know.
If we were to do broad strokes of these different boroughs, Manhattan is where the money's at, right? That's where, like, if you get money and you could live anywhere, you'd probably live in Manhattan?
Yeah, I guess the big money's in Manhattan, but there's a lot of money in Brooklyn, too. You know, Brooklyn has become very fancy, a lot of it. When I was there, it was just getting gentrified, you know, but I got gentrified out of it. You know, I like to, you know, the early white settlers get pushed out by the richer white settlers. Not that I'm white, but, you know.
And then what is Yonkers?
Yonkers is in the Bronx.
In the Bronx.
Yonkers.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what about Staten Island?
That's
who lives there? Is that like
a lot? I was going to say something racist.
Of course. I mean, it is.
I don't know.
They're more racist.
Make racist. I mean, it's an Italian racism. I don't know if. I think you're allowed to be racist against Italians.
I think so. Hey,
I was going to say a bunch of Ginzanos. You know.
Oh, Ginzano.
No, I was. Like, you know, it's a lot of firefighters and and guys who like the sandwich nice. I want it nice. Make it nice.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Just make it nice. You know what I want with the provolone and the salami and the this and that and the mozzarella. Make it nice.
What about, and what is, what do we leave out? We left out Bronx.
The Bronx. That's where Jennifer Lopez is from.
Somebody told me when I was in Manhattan, because I spent some time in Manhattan in a lot of time in 93 and 94. I think they said the Bronx, if you drive by, you'll see cars broken down on the freeway. They're like on fire or all their tires are off. They made it sound like the Bronx is like a scary place.
Well, there's different parts of the Bronx, like Yonkers is a nicer part. But I think there's good and bad parts of the Bronx. I don't know how bad the bad parts are because I've never explored that, but
yeah,
could be. I don't know. I mean, that was also like, I feel like, Coming to America with Eddie Murphy with the trash cans on fire. That's like a New York of the past.
Of yesteryear,
yeah.
I got a question. Okay, so I love your Jackie Mason impression. How did you get to know Jackie Mason? Because you actually knew him and you hung out with him. You guys became friends.
So I interviewed him. I had a magazine called The Comical. It was a comedy magazine. I interviewed him for the cover. And back then, it was well before podcasting and the equipment for doing remote interviews. I got a mini disc player, just to show you how old I am. I don't know if people even know what that is, but mini discs were like almost like mini floppy discs almost, but they weren't floppy, they were hard.
They're like
hard discs.
They're like CDs but smaller.
But in like a square with a CD in it, and you'd put it into this machine, it would always break. Anyway, so I interviewed him, and I was asking him questions like, how did you get started, and who were your influences, the things a young comic might ask. And then I went back to the college to transcribe the interview. In fairness, I wasn't the one transcribing it, but I was there. I can't type, but I was there with my friend Sal, who was the transcriber designated. And we're playing the mini disc, and it's skipping all over the place. The interview didn't. It was like, I'd be like, "Who are your influences?" And that's why I think.
Oh no!
And Jackie had said, if you have any follow-up questions, call me. So I was like, I was like, what are we gonna do? Do you remember what he said? I'm like, no, I was just so enthralled with that. I was sitting with him, and I didn't like soak in what he was saying at the time. I was gonna listen back. So I said, you know what? He said I could call him if I had a follow-up question. So I call him, and he goes, hello. I said, Jackie Mason? Yes, that's right, it's me. I said, hey, it's Danny Lobell from the comedy magazine. You remember you said I could ask you if I had any follow-up questions? Sure. I said, so when I asked you, who were your influences? Yeah. I just wanted to follow up on that.
Hey, it's Amy Brown from The Bobby Bones Show. Join me in supporting St. Jude Children's Research Hospital for a chance to win a trip to meet Megan Maroney at the 2025 iHeart Country Festival in Austin, Texas on May 3rd, hosted by Bobby Bones. We're going to hook you up with tickets, flights, hotel, food credits, and a meet and greet with Megan Maroney. Take action now to support St. Jude and help cure childhood cancer, and you're going to be entered for a chance to win. Visit iHeartCountryTrip.com to learn more.
How to have fun anytime, anywhere. Step 1, go to ChumbaCasino.com.
ChumbaCasino.com. Got it.
Step 2, collect your welcome bonus.
Come to Papa welcome bonus.
Step 3, play hundreds of casino-style games for free.
That's a lot of games. All for free?
Step 4, unleash your excitement.
Woohoo!
Chumba Casino has been delivering thrills for over a decade. So claim your free welcome bonus now and live the Chumba life. Visit ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
What do you mean you wanted to follow up on it? I said Lenny Bruce. I said, whoever he said. I don't remember who else he said. Jack Benny. I said, these people were influences. What's the follow-up? I said, no, nothing. You're right. That's, but thank you. I just wanted to clarify that. Okay, hang up. Phew. So we typed that out.
Yeah.
And then the next question of the interview. So, like, when did you get started? I got started with and that's why I went to. Sal and I look at each other.
Yeah.
I was like, I'll call him.
No.
So I call him
really?
again. I said, hey, Jackie, yeah, remember me? I just talked to you a few minutes ago. Of course I remember you. What's the question? I just had another follow-up question. Okay, what is it? Remember when I was asking you how you got started? Yeah. So I just wanted to follow up on that. So he goes, what are you talking about? I said, just like a little more details on how you got started. He goes, what do you mean details? What did I not tell you? I said, well, just tell me the whole thing again. He goes, you lost the interview, didn't you?
Oh, he caught on.
I said, well, it's a technical issue. It's not like I lost it, but it's not really playing right. He goes, all right, I'll tell you something. You could come down to the Wellington Diner. I'll be there tonight with some friends and bring a recorder, and we'll do it again. So I said, okay. So I go down that night. We do the interview, And we got on pretty good. And I thought, hey, I think me and Jackie Mason have like a little bit of a friendship chemistry here, And I just had been, I guess you would say, awarded or given a college radio show, maybe like that morning or something. And I'm like, wouldn't it be cool? I could invite him to do the radio show. So before I left, I said, thank you so much for doing the interview and for redoing it. He goes, okay, my pleasure. I said, and by the way, I just got a college radio show. If you're interested, I'd love to have you on it. And he just flipped out on me. He goes, you're the most obnoxious person I ever met in my life. First, you bothered me for an interview for a magazine that nobody's going to read. And I'm a big star, and I take time out of my day to give you an interview because I feel bad for you and I want to help you out. And then you call me up and you're asking me questions because you wouldn't admit that you lost the interview. Then I give you a second interview, and now you want a third interview? What the hell's wrong with you? You're disgusting. You're this and that. And, you're going to get nowhere in this business. Obviously, you have no respect for people's time, and you think you're... But he screams at me. I don't even know. It's like...
Yeah, you're tripping out at this point.
Oh, no. So he says, get the f*** out of here. I don't want to see you again. I don't want to know you. So I left, and I was so depressed. I'm walking through Times Square, and my head is down, and I'm like talking so negatively to myself. I'm like, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. Look at you. You're so stupid. Of course you don't ask him for another thing. And the next day I'm so depressed, and then the phone rings, and I answer. Hello, this is Jackie Mason. Let me ask you, I think I was a little hard on you yesterday, and I just want to ask you, I'm sorry, and I want to ask you if you're interested. I'm going out to an Italian restaurant tonight with a few friends, and I just want to, if you want to come, if it's not, I understand, but if you want to come down, I'll make it up to you, and I'll buy you a spaghetti. So I said, oh, okay. So now I go, and I'm pretty nervous or whatever, and I'm sitting there, and somehow impressions come up, and Jackie does incredible impressions of Jack Benny, and who else did he do? Who did all the USO tours? Bob Hope. And my brain froze for a second. And Milton Berle, he did all the old-time guys, and Groucho. And he goes, this guy says he's a comedian. You got any impressions? So I did Adam Sandler, which I would be afraid to do now because I'm so out of practice on him. But at the time, it was like I had Sandler down. And he and his friends were like stunned that I did such a good Adam Sandler.
Oh.
And like I'm still doing Jackie Mason pretty well. So just imagine I'm doing Adam Sandler that well. I was doing it really well. If I did it now, you'd be like, oh, he's a liar. He never did it well. But I'm telling you, I did do it well.
Yeah.
And then he goes, who else do you have? And I did Bibi Netanyahu, the Israeli Prime Minister, Bibi Netanyahu. I want to say that Iran poses a big threat to Israel, to America. Then I start going into the Bibi Netanyahu, and he goes, this is unbelievable. This guy's got Bibi Netanyahu down, and he does Adam Sandler better than Sandler, and this and that, and I can't believe it. I thought this guy was a complete bum and a schmuck and an idiot, but it turns out that he actually has some talent. I didn't know a guy like this was talented. He looked like a complete moron to me. So his friend said, Jackie, yeah, he's good, man. I think he's got it. So he goes, all right. If everybody says so, then you're in. I'm like, I'm in? He goes, you're in. Come back again tomorrow. We're going to be at the Wellington where you saw me yesterday. And that was it. I just saw him every day for years. And then my magazine came out with the article, and it was glossy, and he was on the cover, and he loved it, and he was telling everybody, he was showing everyone. Wow. And then, I could only afford a cup of coffee because I was always broke. And any money I had went into the magazine. We didn't have funders or anything. It was, it's a miracle that I even had a magazine. So he said, I never met a guy who's so broke and has a glossy magazine. How could it happen that a guy could have a magazine? You're supposed to be a media mogul. You're the least mogul I ever met of anybody in the media. You don't even have money for a sandwich. It's embarrassing. He goes, how do you afford anything? I said, I don't know, I work here and there, sell selling light bulbs or something. I said, anything I got, I put into the magazine. He goes, you need a better job. He goes, why don't you come and sell merchandise for me at my Broadway show? We're about to open up at the Helen Hayes Theater, and you could, I'll give you a few nights of the week. My friend Morty, who I've known since I was young, he does some nights. I can't take everything from him. If you're trying to steal all his work, I'm like, I'm not trying to steal anybody's work. Okay, fine. I could tell that you already don't like the fact that Morty's involved. I said, I didn't know, don't pretend you're jealous. You wanted all the nights. You're only getting some of the nights. So you always bust your balls like that.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, all right, I'd like to do it. All right, fine. So I don't remember. He gave me a percentage of the sales, and I became a hustler for Jackie Mason cassettes and CDs at the Broadway show. Everybody's walking around in the intermission looking for a cocktail, and I'm saying, hey, I only have a few more of these CDs left. Like I'm like an African guy on the street in the fashion district, and they go, hey, listen, come over here, come here. You like a Jackie Mason, right? You at the show, right? I was pushing this stuff like, okay, this is a special deal for you. Only 2 more left. Then he had cassettes. I'm like, people don't even buy. I'm African. I'm like, people don't even buy cassettes anymore. These are collectible. Where else are you going to get a Jackie Mason cassette tape? This is your only chance. People go, all right. I don't know what this guy's deal is. Nobody pushes merch at Broadway that hard,
Wow.
Have you ever any concert where they push the merch on you?
Not like that.
So I was selling tons of stuff. And I was making hundreds of dollars because he cut me in on the sales.
That's nice.
And at the end of every week, he'd have us in the back room at the Helen Hayes Theater. Me and Morty, who was like, 70. And he was like a skinny, frail guy in a Mets cap with white hair. Looked kind of like Woody.
Hey, it's Amy Brown from The Bobby Bones Show. Join me in supporting St. Jude Children's Research Hospital for a chance to win a trip to meet Megan Maroney at the 2025 iHeart Country Festival in Austin, Texas on May 3rd, hosted by Bobby Bones. We're going to hook you up with tickets, flights, hotel, food credits, and a meet and greet with Megan Maroney. Take action now to support St. Jude and help cure childhood cancer, and you're going to be entered for a chance to win. Visit iHeartCountryTrip.com to learn more.
It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Allen, and he would just berate this guy in front of me. He'd go, look at the sales. The kid is absolutely slaughtering you. Do you see what he's done? He's made $3,000 on cassette tapes. You brought in $40, and you're supposed to be my friend for many years. Look at you. You're a disgrace. You can't even do anything right. You're a bum your whole life. I try to help you out, and you screw me, and you take. And it was really hard to sit there and watch that here. And the guy would be like, I'm sorry, Jackie. I'm try harder. You try harder. Look at this guy. I don't barely know him. I give him a job. He's making unbelievable hand over fist sales. And with you, I give you a night. And what do? You're going to make me broke. I'm going to have to give up my place, So then,
Dude, these characters are awesome.
Yeah, so...
I'm sorry, Jackie.
I'm sorry. I didn't, yeah. So, try harder, you're sorry. Look at this kid. He's got nothing. He's fat, He's a fat kid who runs a magazine. He's got nothing.
He works for spaghetti.
Yeah,
whatever.
He goes, you think a guy like this, how do you feel? A guy like this is absolutely pulverizing you. A fat kid who has no money. So it was like insulting to me and him, It's just insulting everybody. So anyway, he'd be like, so it was my night off one night, and I'm walking around Times Square. I lived around there, and my phone rings, and it's Jackie. He goes, are you going to be down at the show tonight? I said, no, it's my night off. He goes, I know, it's Morty's night. I said, yeah. So he says, all right, let me ask you a question. You like George Carlin? I said, George Carlin? You mean George Carlin? Yeah. I said, I love George Carlin. I didn't ask you if you love George Carlin. I said, do you like George Carlin? Now it's nauseating. You sound like a teenager fan, like a girl. I regret even asking the question. I didn't say, do you love George Carlin? Look at you. You love George Carlin. You talk about me like that? You talk only at George Carlin. Oh, it's George Carlin. I was like, all right. Just why? Why are you asking me? He goes, all right, I'll tell you. George Carlin happens to be a big fan of mine, and he's a friend of mine, and he's coming down to see my show tonight, and I thought it might be a kick for you to meet him. So, if you're not too busy and you want to come down after the show, I'll introduce you. And that's what happened. And then he gave me the greatest introduction ever to Carlin. This guy's fantastic. He does impressions. He's funny. He's an up-and-coming guy. He's got a magazine. I was on the cover of his magazine. You should be on the cover of the magazine. He's like, all right, I'll be on the magazine.
Wow.
You know? So he goes, so George goes, take my number. You know, I was like, all right.
Damn.
And then he holds up the finger. He goes, like his index finger. He goes, share it with no one. You know,
right?
So,
were you like flying high that night that you got his phone number? You just like, were you like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I met George Carlin. I have his phone number. Like, did you like call your parents, or like, was it one of those nights?
Actually, it's funny. My dad was in the neighborhood, and I told him I'm with Jackie Mason and George Carlin. Where are you? He's like, I'm in a Times Square area. He just finished a job as a photographer. I said, you want to come down and meet them? I'm with them in the back room at the. And I asked Jackie, is it okay? My dad's in the area. He says, tell him to come down. So my dad comes down, and he'd just come from he's a photographer. He just had his camera on him. So he took some pictures of the three of us.
Awesome.
So I have these nice pictures that are like of me in the middle and Jackie on one side with his arm around me, and George on the other side with his arm around me.
Wow.
It's a very cool picture. I'll show you sometime. And then, long story short, wound up interviewing George for the magazine cover, interviewed him another 2 times over the phone from my college radio show, which was podcasted at this point. We were the first comedy podcast. And then George said, I'll come into the college and do it in person, and he did. And then we would talk on the phone. He was very serious. He wasn't like, when I do this Jackie stuff, Jackie was always funny when he was talking. George was funny on stage. He was rarely his character from stage, in my experience, off stage. Except for one time. One time, he was the George Carlin from on stage. Normally, it would just be like, hey, how's it going? All right, But one time, he used to call me for a brief period of time. I don't know how many months. He took a real interest in my career. Then it fizzled out. We never lost contact until he died, but there was a little period of time when he was really into knowing what I was doing. And so he calls me up, and I'd just gotten back from bombing at this little place called the Village Lantern in the Village. And he said, did you go up tonight? And I said, yeah. He goes, and how did it go? And I said, well, to be honest with you, I bombed terribly. And he goes, where were you? I said, well, a little place called the Village Lantern, actually only a few doors down from where you used to play at the bitter end. Yeah. What happened? I said, I don't know. I did the same jokes that usually work, but they just didn't like them. Yeah. I'll tell you, man. I used to fucking bomb all the time down there. I said, really? He goes, yeah. And those are some long subway rides back up to Harlem. I used to have to go back up to Harlem. You didn't have to go there. I said, well, I go to Brooklyn. He goes, fucking sucks, doesn't it? You have to sit there waiting for the train, thinking of how shameful it feels that you bombed. I go, yeah, it's terrible. He goes, but I'll tell you something. I want you to know this, and I wish I knew it when I was younger. They're fucking wrong. I was like, what? He goes, the audience, they're fucking wrong. I said, oh, really? He goes, no, get it into your head. You're funny. You know you're funny. They aren't funny. They're fucking wrong. If someone funny goes up and they're funny, and the people who don't know funny are sitting there and they're not laughing, then who's right and who's wrong? You're right and they're fucking wrong. I was like, oh, wow. So I was like, wow, thank you. He's like, so that was that was almost like him on stage,
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that.
The world.
Yeah. Have you ever noticed audiences are wrong?
Yeah.
I got a question. Remember tell the audience about how you were telling me what it was like walking with George on campus. How people would recognize him and he would stop and give him a moment, right?
Yeah. So I went down. The funniest thing is I go to pick him up, And this is kind of recent, 9/11 had been recent. So, like, Manhattan, colleges in Manhattan.
Yeah.
And it's, like, pretty locked down. It was very hard for me to get people. It was always a struggle. I had to go through all these hoops to get anybody on my show. And I had to go and get names cleared several days in advance, and I had to follow up with the office and make sure their name was on the security list, and then the list often didn't get to security. So for Carlin, I really made sure his name is there, so when he gets there. So he gets a few minutes early, I come down there. We had this Jamaican security guard. She was so funny, but she was such a ball buster. And she just, like, not on purpose, like, she wasn't trying to be funny, but it was funny what a ball buster was.
Yeah.
She was. I come down there. There's George Carlin in the flesh at my college at the entrance where the turnstiles are, where they have to buzz you through. And this Jamaican security lady goes, "I don't know who no George Carlin is, okay, old man. If you know on the list, you know on the list." And I'm like, "Oh no." "Okay, old man, you listen to me right now, old man."
Oh no.
And I look at him and he was loving it.
Yeah.
It was like, and then when I walked him up, he goes, "Man, that brought me back. I know nobody talks to me like that anymore."
That's cool.
Do you hear her? She's like, "I don't know who fucking George Carlin is." I was like, "Oh, good. He took it well." But every few feet, someone would stop him and they'd recognize him and they'd be like, always kind of a similar thing, like, "No way, man. George Carlin? You're George Carlin." "Yeah. Dude, my dad saw you in Paramus, New Jersey in 1978. He still talks about that concert." "Well, tell your dad thanks for coming. And I hope he seems like a swell guy to have raised a kid like you."
Oh,
and, he's
cool.
making eye contact with them, and he's smiling.
Yeah.
And he goes, and then he'd offer them a picture, like when you meet someone famous, you want a picture?
Yeah.
And you're afraid to ask.
Or you forget, you're so nervous, and you're like, "Damn it, I should have asked for a picture."
Like, "You want a picture so you can show your dad? Let's get a picture together."
Oh, that's cool.
Okay, and we walk another 5 feet, "Hey, George Carlin, my dad saw you in Paramus, New Jersey," or wherever, a different place or whatever.
Yeah.
And a slightly different story, but all the same.
Yeah.
"Yeah, that's amazing. Wow, your dad, what does he do for a living?" "He's a carpenter." "Cool, man. That's awesome. Well, tell him he raised a great kid. You want a picture together?" We walk another 5 feet. "Hey, you're George Carlin." And that's how it was for him. Like, to get from one place to the other was like, and I'm trying to rush to get back up to get on the air, but it must have took us like 25 minutes to walk 2 minutes because everybody knew George Carlin and everybody had some story that was vaguely about him and everybody wanted to tell it to him, and he showed every single person the most unbelievable respect, didn't make them feel rushed, looked them in the eyes, smiled widely, offered them photographs. He understood what that moment meant to people because it's probably the only moment in their life where they meet George Carlin, and he wanted that to be a special moment for them. So, like, he didn't let anybody have a bad moment with George Carlin. Like, this is your time that you meet George Carlin, and wow, was he a nice guy,
Oh.
And he was a terrific guy. I never knew such a nice guy. And, like, he used to tell me, "Why don't you call me more?" I said, "Oh, all right, I will," but I wouldn't because I was nervous because I was always like, I'm going to blow the friendship,
Yeah, you ever heard those stories? Like, he would call comics at their hotel room, like if they were in, like if you guys were like both at Lake Tahoe, and he would, people answer their phone in their hotel room, and George Carlin would be on there and wish them luck, or they'd talk about the show. Have you heard those kind of stories?
Yeah, he left Louis Black a voicemail. Louis told me one time.
Wow.
He said, "Louis, I saw your special. It was very funny. I'm not going to do anything to help you. I just want you to know." Bo Bigelow, very funny young comic, is calling. Can I take it? I think he's looking for me.
Yeah, take it real quick. Yeah, take it real quick. Yeah.
All right, this phone call is on the Darren
By the way,
Carter podcast.
Let him know he's being recorded.
You're being recorded on the Darren Carter podcast.
Oh my God, I don't even know what to say.
Yeah.
I was not prepared for this at all.
This is like that moment when you meet George Carlin.
Yeah. Bo, I'm doing a podcast with Danny. How are you tonight?
I'm doing fantastic. The show was interesting. It was good. I'm the weather's incredible right now. I don't even have to wear a jacket. I can just feel the breeze hit my arm hairs right now, and it's
my arm hairs.
Hey, it's Amy Brown from The Bobby Bone Show. Join me in supporting St. Jude Children's Research Hospital for a chance to win a trip to meet Megan Maroney at the 2025 iHeart Country Festival in Austin, Texas on May 3rd, hosted by Bobby Bones. We're going to hook you up with tickets, flights, hotel, food credits, and a meet and greet with Megan Maroney. Take action now to support St. Jude and help cure childhood cancer, and you're going to be entered for a chance to win. Visit iHeartCountryTrip.com to learn more.
It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper, a woohooer, a hand clapper, a high fiver? I kind of like the high five, but if you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. At ChumbaCasino.com, choose from hundreds of social casino-style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses, so don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Bo, I got a question. You saw my show last night, fresh off the presses. Anything you want to say about my show that you saw last night?
Oh man, I can't get over how incredible the voiceovers are for body movement. I would say.
Oh my gosh, that was incredible. You blew me away with that.
Oh, thank you.
You did these movements with your body, and you're like making the crick of the neck as you move, and you do the most amazing sound effects. Like, I have a sound effects app, and it's not as good as you.
Oh, thank you. Oh, you mean like whenever I act like I'm cracking my back or my neck, I go like this. I go.
Yeah. You hear that?
Like that, yeah.
And the beatboxing, but like I'd never seen you do that. And you're doing that like demonic voice, and you go into slow motion with it.
What are you talking about?
Like that thing,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
It was amazing. That was just incredible stuff.
Yeah, thank you.
So, by the way, Darren, we're going to have to wrap the pod because my wife is coming to the Jeep right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Say goodbye to Bo. I want to ask you one last final thing.
I have a lot to get off my chest right now.
Thank you, Bo.
Thanks, Bo.
Thanks, Bo.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, last thing as we go, I want to say thank you for doing the podcast. Thank you for coming on. We'll do it again. I love this. Real quick, the story about you would tell Jackie. Remember when he got that gig at that Newberry Festival or whatever? I love that.
Oh, the Westbury Music.
I love when he would do this with you.
You could get in the back, Kylie.
Oh, his wife. She's going to get in the back of the car.
We're doing a podcast in the front, but the back is audience seating.
We're gonna wrap it up. I just want to hear this final story. I love this story.
That's my beautiful wife, Kylie or Lobell, who you can follow on X. She's an amazing writer. So, one time we're sitting at the Au Bon Pain. Au Bon Pain is like a chain of, almost like a Starbucks grade level chain in New York of French-ish themed coffee shops. And Jackie was hysterical because he'd always be like, I want you to meet me at the Au Bon Pain at exactly 2:30, and don't come at 1, and don't come at 2:20, and don't come at 2:40, because you know why you should come at 2:30? Because at exactly 2:30 they get rid of the old pastries and they bring in new pastries, and you can buy the same croissant that used to cost you $4 for 50 cents. And you have to be an idiot to come 5 minutes early. It's $4, and you just sit there for 5 more minutes. All of a sudden the price drops to 50 cents. It's exactly the same croissant, and everybody is a moron who comes in early. Why? I see people, I sit there and they buy it 2 minutes before, and it's like unbelievable. I'm getting the same thing that person just got for 50 cents, and they spent $4 on it. They got ripped off, and that's why you got to meet me exactly at 2:30. They do the transfer of the pastries. So
that actually makes sense. No matter how much money you have, it just logically he's making sense.
Well, yeah, but he'd also he'd always say to me, "You're a person who never did anything for anyone. So what do you think about buying an old Jew a coffee at McDonald's today?" I'm like thinking, why do I have to buy you a coffee? But I would do it,
Yeah.
And it was always fun to go to McDonald's with him. He loved McDonald's. He was obsessed with McDonald's. And he'd always get recognized by black people at McDonald's, and it was the thrill of his life that black people knew about him.
Yeah.
Because they'd always come over like, "Yo, Mr. Mason, man, you the best. You the man, Mr. Mason. Caddyshack too, son. That's my So he'd be like, "Thank you very much. I can't believe it. I'm so happy. I'm so thrilled to have a fan like you." And then he'd walk away. He goes, "I don't know how they know me. I don't know where they know me from. I can't believe it. I don't know how I'm such a hit in the black community." But he loved it, and he'd always get that kind of like love at McDonald's. And he was also just obsessed with McDonald's. I think he must have been invested heavily in their stock. Like, he was always obsessed with how McDonald's was doing and if they rolled out new products. But that's not the story you want. The story's at Audubon Pan, and he was playing the Westbury Music Fair that night. And
Is that like a big theater or something, a nice club?
It's like a theater. It's like a venue. It's a concert venue. You know, it's like a much smaller version of the Hollywood Bowl.
Wow.
In Westbury, Long Island, I guess. And I just remember I'm like 2 years into comedy, and he's like, I'm playing at the West. Where are you playing tonight? I'm like, I was like so excited. I had a spot at Stand Up New York, because that's a big deal for me. I'm like, I'm at Stand Up New York. All right, okay. You know where I am tonight? I'm at the Westbury Music Fair. Oh, great. Yeah, sure. Great. Look at you. It's killing you with jealousy to know that I'm at the Westbury Music Fair when you're at some dinky little comedy club. I'm like, no, it's not. I'm happy for you. You're a legend. You're a legend. You think I don't know that you're nauseous? You're sick about the fact that I'm making a ton of money and I'm playing the Westbury Music Fair and your career's going nowhere. And in the meantime, I'm a major sensation and I got massive amounts of money and people coming out to see me tonight. You think you think I believe that you're okay with this? And I go, no, I really am okay. You're a liar. You're an unbelievable liar, and you're not even good at it. And I'll tell you something. Just start screaming at me.
I get recognized at McDonald's.
I'm like, no, I think he was kind of testing me, even though it was like joking.
Yeah.
And, to this day, I look back at it, and I think it was like a little bit of, was it a Rorschach test or whatever you call it? I don't know.
Yeah, Rorschach test.
Yeah. I don't know, just one of those tests where you just like wanted to see, like, is this guy really jealous of me, like, even a little bit? And like, I think he saw, oh no, he's not.
And then he's also kind of having fun with you because it's so ridiculous and over the top.
So yeah, it was a bit, but it was also, there was a truth to it. Like because I knew him well, and I knew that there was like, it was a bit enough so that you could say, oh, it was just a bit, but there was also this like, I'm just testing. I want to know if this guy's sitting here and he's jealous of me, or if he's like really my friend and he's really in my corner and he's happy for me.
Was there ever any opportunity? Did he have opening comics? Did he have opening acts like comedians that opened for him?
No one opened for him.
Oh.
Yeah, never had any comics opening for him.
That's weird, right? I guess when at that level, they just get so. The crowd wants to see them do an hour and plus.
Yeah. I used to say, you're probably miserable about the fact that I don't take you to open for me. But I'll tell you, I'm sorry, I don't take anyone to open for me. I don't like having openers. I never liked having openers. I used to have openers. I got rid of the openers. People come to see me, and then I feel bad that I should put up another person in front of them. What am I too busy to come out on stage? What's this idea? That another person, you paid a lot of money to come and see me, and now I'm saying, here's somebody else. That's part of the time that you paid for to see me. And now I'm giving you someone you didn't pay to see. And now you got to see this guy. And if that guy's not even good, then I got to try and win the crowd back. And if they're very good, then I got to try and compete with that. I don't understand why anybody would have an opener. It makes absolutely no sense to me. If you come to see a Jackie Mason show, you get Jackie Mason. What kind of an idea is that you have to see somebody else? Why should you have to see somebody else when you want to see this person? If you go in to get a sandwich and you say, I want a turkey sandwich, they say, okay, fine, but first have a tuna sandwich. You wanted a turkey sandwich. Why do you have to be forced to have another?
I like traveling with friends, though, man. I'd love to get to the point where you could bring friends on the road. You know what I mean? Like other good comics.
Yeah.
And make it a whole,
Well, then why don't you ever take me anywhere?
Well, I got to get to that next level. I see it in your eyes. You're jealous. I start parties. I don't need you.
You shouldn't be making all these parties. You're keeping up the whole neighborhood.
Yeah. You have to bring your own flashlight. I saw what you did out there, Danny. I use a flashlight. Now you're using a flashlight.
I never knew a guy like this who went through so many flashlights in his career.
I know. All right, man, Danny, I want to thank you so much for coming on. And come back, okay, please?
Okay, please. And check out me and Mark Schiff's podcast, which Darren's been on. He was our first guest. We kicked it off with him because he's the best. He gets the party started. He got our podcast party started. And you're going to be back on. I talked to Mark Schiff, and
awesome.
And we're hoping to have you on again soon.
Thank you.
It's called We Think It's Funny, and
it's a great podcast. I love listening to your podcast.
Thank you. Well, we're honored that you listen to it.
I love how I say, "Come back on," and I go, "Come back, do it again." Meanwhile, I'm in his Jeep.
In my Jeep.
Come back,
this
dude.
Is the legendary Jeep Wrangler, man.
That's right. This is one of your dreams, right? As a young boy, you want to have a Jeep.
This was my dream. Like, I had pretty low goals. I've accomplished them already, and that's why I amounted to nothing else. You have to shoot high.
Why Jeep? Why was that your goal?
My uncle had a Jeep, and I would see.
It's cool.
It was the coolest thing I ever saw, and when I saw him pull up in the Jeep to our house, he never would come over. But when he came over and he was in that Jeep, I was just like entranced with the Jeep. I just was like, it's the most perfect looking car. And then the more I would find out about Jeeps, like, I was like, they could go over the curbs. You don't have to worry about curbs anymore.
Yeah.
Every other car, you have to worry about curbs. Why would anybody? Then I'm like, the roof opens up. It's a convertible. Why would anybody not want that? You know. And then just everything about Jeeps. I love the air conditioning is great in a Jeep. The heating is great in a Jeep. You could go on road. You could go off road. You could go 4-wheel. You could drive in the snow.
You might be one of those guys that once you like get a lot of money going, you might be like collecting different types of Jeeps.
I would buy lots of different. I'd like a 1980s Jeep Wrangler. I would buy the newest Jeep Wrangler and like an old classic Jeep Wrangler.
Yeah.
I love Jeep Wranglers. Like, and I'm not a car guy, like, but I am a Jeep guy. Like, I don't really care about Ferraris and Lamborghinis, and maybe if I had one, I'd change my tune. Maybe they're amazing to drive, but I'm so happy with a Jeep. Like, you could fit so much. It's a giant box, the Jeep. Like, you could fit, almost nothing doesn't fit in the Jeep, so.
That's cool, man.
And I'm big, and I fit in the Jeep, you know?
That's true.
Your car should be, I'll close it with this. Your car is like your clothes, you know? Like, you go around,
Yeah.
you know, like you put on a layer of clothes that you feel represents you.
Yeah.
So you dress in your clothes, and then you dress in your car. Like, your car is, you know, your clothes to the driving world. And, like, you know, I used to be in a car that it felt like I was driving clothes that weren't my style. And then I finally am I'm wearing what I want to wear, and, you know, driving what I want to drive.
I like it.
Jeep
Danny,
Wrangler, folks.
Jeep Wrangler. Go get one.
0% APR.
This podcast is brought to you by...
They do break down a lot.
Yeah, they do break down a lot. Oh, shit, he mumbled that part. There's a reason we're parked here. Okay, this thing ain't moving. It's been here for a week. You know?
Here's the tow truck. The podcast's over.
Beep, 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 beep. All right, guys, thank you so much for checking out the Pocket Party Podcast. Once again, hit that link, buy me a coffee, and leave some comments on YouTube.
No, buy him a coffee. Buy him a coffee.
Yeah. God bless you guys. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much. Bye.
Everybody listen to Darren Carter. We all know he's the party starter. So if you want to listen to a podcast for free, then listen to the Pocket Party.
Hey, it's Amy Brown from The Bobby Bones Show. Join me in supporting St. Jude Children's Research Hospital for a chance to win a trip to meet Megan Maroney at the 2025 iHeart Country Festival in Austin, Texas on May 3rd, hosted by Bobby Bones. We're going to hook you up with tickets, flights, hotel, food credits, and a meet and greet with Megan Maroney. Take action now to support St. Jude and help cure childhood cancer, and you're going to be entered for a chance to win. Visit iHeartCountryTrip.com to learn more.
Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you want to get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.